Hello, this is session 12 of 12 for Hearts of Wulin for this trilogy, which means it's the fifth session of the final book of the trilogy. That means everything's on the table today as we find out what will be the fate of the orphans of Yun, their companions, their lovers, their enemies, their rivals. We will find that out today. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, an online gaming community. We have blogs, podcasts, and lots of other things. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. We are coming in here, as Rich pointed out before we started recording. It is solemn day because one of the great directors of Hong Kong cinema, Ringo Lam, passed away yesterday. City on Fire, if you haven't seen that, is tremendous. You can skip his American milieu at your leisure, but his Hong Kong's films are marvelous. He, along with Sui Hark and, of course, our Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon guy.
Crap.
There we go. Like I said, the guy who directed Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that guy. Who also, Ang Lee, thank you. There we go. There's some others. But let's just move on because I'm terrible at names this early in the morning here. But we are coming.
And you're running this game.
Running this game with lots of names. We're coming in to our session here. We're going to check in where everybody's at. Before I do that, I want to frame just where we know people are at this point. I'm going to get that set, and then I want to check in mechanically and mentally where our characters are at. We know that Night Sky Ming, you have passed yourself off as Magistrate Bao, and you and Zhang Wen have confronted Whip Hand Sheng over the rivalry, the upcoming marriage, all these things. And where we left off, we found out that, in fact, when Zheng had arrived, Sheng had sent off one of her handmaids to go and finish off Nine Blossoms. So that was a thing. And then I believe that Passing Cloud, you had attempted to get in to the wedding, into the complex, and on your own sort of cut away from the rest of the group and had been driven back. But then you were rescued by Shard Saber Lan, correct? And the two of you were making your way inside at that point. Am I right? That's the end point for the both of you?
Yep, that's correct as far as I remember.
Yep,
Right.
We're heading after Coral Lantern.
Yes. So let's check in and let's see. Did anybody get enough that they took a new move that I should know about? Rich, I see you waving your hand.
Yes, and I realized upon looking over my moves that you probably don't need to think about any new move I bought, because the last two moves that I bought I could have used in the last session but didn't.
I know.
Yep, I'm pretty stupid. So I took two Wondrous Tigers. When you comfort and support an ally, if you choose to immediately burn the bond you create, you give them +2 to their roll instead of +1. So I'm saying that out loud so that other people can remember that I can do a thing better, because I obviously won't.
Yeah, there is the thing is everybody has a lot of moves, and I do go and look as you're talking at your moves, and sometimes I'm like, maybe I should. No, Rich is a big boy, so
so let me officially state I am not a big boy in the game that you read. So you could totally suggest the moves, because this is kind of still a playtest, and we can see that move instead of Rich fumbling about and going, should I roll with wood or not?
And Rich, you have one chi marked, and only your lowest chi, so you're in pretty good shape.
Yes, exactly. I don't need to be patient or worry about growth or curiosity.
Rich, your element is fire for your style, right?
It is.
And when you learned that style, when you learned it, what was the first thing they taught you to do? What was the first move of fire that they showed you?
Oh man, like my first image is not very fiery, so let me think for a moment here. I think fire, creativity, speed, and passion. So I think that is this a training exercise or an actual move? I just want to make sure I understand.
Let's do a flashback to something from your style that we see.
Oh, nice. So we see the master who as yet had not been seen on screen that was killed by Auntie Silver. And I'm trying to find his name.
Peerless Falcon.
Peerless Falcon. So we see Peerless Falcon, and he's standing in front of Zheng Wen, and he has all of these small little clay pots. And Zheng Wen, very young, his hair is just bright blue because he's so much younger, and the muscles are barely defined. And he has this sword that is definitely not the splinter. And he throws all of the clay pots up into the air, and you know, you can hear the voiceover from Peerless Falcon saying, "If any of the pots touch the ground, then you have failed." And so he's like trying to slice all of them out of the air.
Nice, nice. Shard Saber Lan, I don't think you got a new move, did you? Or did you?
I didn't get a new move because, as previously mentioned, whole pack of moves. But I did have an advancement, so I took my water up to 3.
Whoa, look at you. Learning wisdom, flexibility, awareness. Ooh.
Learning awareness and flexibility.
So I have a question for you. One of the things in your background is that for the longest time, you were not an able student. And yet you had a superior who kind of demanded things of you and looked out for you in some ways. And what do you think? What would be a scene between you and Bonecracker Non if we flash back to your younger days before you actually got good? What would that look like?
So I think this would probably be like right after he'd returned with the Jade Saber, and I think before that, he was just so terrible in the school that Bonecracker Non wouldn't have even like taken time to interact with him or teach him personally. But he comes back with this like mystical sword. Obviously, she and the higher ups in the Jade Brush School know more about it than he does, but still no real technique or control. So I think it's like the two of them standing in front of a wall, and like on the wall are two enormous, like big portrait-sized, but pads of paper, like multiple sheets of paper, like very thin rice paper.
Mm-hmm.
And since my style element is metal, and it's like control and calculation, so I think we each have, like, instead of a sword, we have like a long calligraphy brush. It's obviously like dripping in jade ink. But she's like giving me instructions of how to do this with control and precision, and there's just like a single thin like diagonal line drawn on each sheet of paper. And the dog is exciting because Tyler's going to work. She's saying goodbye to him forever because he'll never return from the demons outside. Sorry. But you'll like see like this barest whip and ruffle of her robes as her hand like lashes out, and there's just this tiny line of green that shows up exactly over where the pencil line is, and she goes over and like rips it off to show that even though the paper is like translucent, it hasn't gone through to the next level. And you know, I think Lon is standing there. He's very confident, looking like he's definitely going to do this, but you see like the sweat dripping down his face. And he reaches out and tries to do the same thing and just like knocks the entire pad off the wall. And there's this big streak of green that goes across the wall where the pad was.
Excellent. And non probably, let's try again. And Passing Cloud. Did you get a new move or advancement?
I did take an advancement. I just took I increased one for my chi. I increased my metal from -1 up to 0. To obviously represent the fact as metal is the chi of control and calculation and reflection. Passing Cloud is slowly, shedding the impulsiveness of his callow youth, and also the rest of my chi are completely hosed at the minute. So I wanted to at least stand a chance of being able to make a roll.
Yes, you are. You are quite badly affected, stressed, strained, and so on. As you have 3 chi, you just edging out Shard Saber, who has 2 chi marked there. You do have a couple bonds. That's nice to have there. So in classic martial arts training montages, training elements, and of course you trained with Auntie Silver, you would see the everyday task that Auntie Silver puts you to that eventually is revealed to be an element or a training element of the style. So what was the everyday bit?
So I think we see there's a big cooking fire going with a small cauldron of oil bubbling away, and Passing Cloud is stirring this cauldron with a pair of long cooking chopsticks as it sort of bubbles and spits up with fat, and he darts in with the chopsticks and is plucking out sort of little fried dumplings and piling them up on the thing as sprays of hot oil sort of streak up, and his sort of moves are deft and quick as he sort of darts away from the steam and oil from the cooking pot.
Excellent. Then we see later your fists doing maybe the same motion.
That's right. Yeah. I think maybe training with Auntie Silver, and she's sort of coming at him with a sort of a sort of staring stick sort of thing from the thing, and he's sort of spinning and twisting away from it and coming in with quick jabs around the stick.
Nice. That brings us to Night Sky Ming. Did you get an advance last time?
Okay. Nope.
Okay. But you are injured.
Yeah.
A couple of your heavy hitter things there. The wood and the earth. Let me ask you a question, because we only had a little bit of an interaction between you and Coral Lantern before we discovered in the second book of her villainy. What was your relationship with Coral Lantern, your mother, like? Was it kind before that? Was it distant? How do you imagine that?
It was outwardly appearing to be kind, and certainly Night Sky Ming hung on those moments, but I think her childhood was mostly testing, with just those moments when others were watching that were, I guess, supportive in some ways, if that makes any sense. But looking back, she understands that now.
Did you have siblings? I don't think we've established that, but
No.
Okay. And I take it there was no father figure for you either.
No, and nor one never spoken of, which of course strikes her oddly now. So that was.
Oh, all right.
She was, however, well treated by other people in that served the family. So,
and certainly you had your close friend Rivaling Torrent from the Ox Pilgrim, and your friends from the other schools.
yes.
So maybe we do see some montages of you kind of running free where other students are training with their own houses more deeply. We see you going and as a young girl, we have a very young version of you, but the same costume.
But with pigtails running,
pigtails
down,
running. Yeah. What is your primary color on your clothing?
Night Sky,
Yeah.
she deep blue.
Deep blue.
Deep blue. Almost unto black, but it isn't, because where there's the braid, the silver braid, you can see that it's more blue than black. Excellent. When the light hits it.
So let's come back to Passing Cloud, Shard Saber Lawn. You have defeated the guardsmen outside the gates of the Purity Sword sect. This household, there are guests from all over. There are the plannings for the weddings. There is some chaos, but of course is probably drawn attention. And I think you have some suspicion that your friends have already gone in. So how do you two want to approach this? What's your next step? Concealment, confrontation, something else?
So I think I'd turn to Passing Cloud once we were inside and say, well, you were the one that was making a break-in. Where do you think she is?
I would assume, I don't know, the central hall, her chambers maybe. I had hoped I might get an invitation to speak with her, but that's obviously not come about.
No, that's good. Just make a big ruckus breaking in and then fumble around blindly.
We have a flashback to your character in the first book, and then we come back to here. But go on.
Look, Tian taught me a lot about long suffering.
You are very much in that role that Tian had with you.
Yeah, I guess we need to poke around and maybe do like a study move to try and find where she would be.
So one of you can do a study move, and then maybe the other will see about how you want to approach it. If you want to barge through, or you want to stealth or disguise yourself or so on. Who wants to be the one kind of observing here?
Actually, I'm thinking. I have my what's it called? Smiling Proud Wanderer move, which lets me ask one question from study without rolling.
Absolutely.
So
Nice.
I am just going to straight up go with where is Coral Lantern at the moment?
Coral Lantern is likely to be at the gathering dinner with the other heads of the Purity Sword sect and the other honored guests this evening.
Excellent. That's what I thought.
So is this like sudden leaps of logic that you come to, or like an inspiration? How do you present it?
I think no, I think it was sort of feeding on what I said before. It's like, well, at this time, if they're getting ready for the banquet, they must be getting ready for the wedding. I would imagine they're having some sort of meeting. I don't see Coral Lantern as being the sort who would be spending such social events skulking about in her own chambers. So I suggest we go to the main hall and see if she's there.
And we definitely see, people carrying dishes from the kitchens over to the grand banquet hall, and that's clearly that is going on here.
Fine. You get one shot. I'm tired of you screwing these things up. So if she's not there, we do it my way.
Of course.
And so how do you want to do this? It's kind of on your shoulders now, Shardsaber. How do you want to get over there? Are we going subtle or not?
Yeah, I think if we're going into the main banquet hall, we probably need to go a little subtle, because I don't want to like wade through and have to cut down an army of waiters and cooks to get to her. But there's got to be some extra like aprons and work clothes around somewhere with all this preparation going on. So surely we can just look like servants who are scurrying around making preparations, or at least some of us can do that better than others.
Well, I think I'm going to have you roll with Overcome. It's a simple task for you to get you and Passing Cloud into the banquet hall without being spotted or raise an alarm or cause other figures to get in your way.
I think that makes sense. And I think my newly improved water with awareness and flexibility is definitely the thing to get us through.
Absolutely. With a +3, there's almost no chance.
Almost none. Oh, wow. That's a 14.
So you will make your way over, and we see the big banquet hall, the parallel rows of tables on the floor. We see musician playing at the front. We see in the honored position at the sort of head of the table, we will see the aged, venerable leader of the Purity Sword sect, and at her right hand, we see Coral Lantern. We see one of the seniors of the Ox Pilgrim Escort Bureau, and we see various other figures drawn from across the factions here for this wedding. And the two of you can make your way inside there, and you see Coral Lantern, Shardsaber. It's the first time you laid eyes on her since that last fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's there. And you are here to kill her, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Night Sky Ming's mom. Okay, we'll come back to that in just a moment. So let us go. We cut sort of hard cut to Night Sky Ming and Zhang Wen, and we see Whip Hand Sheng there, and she is standing at ready, and she says that she has sent her handmaid off to finish off 9 Blossoms. Zhang, what do you do?
I look to, because we have, we have a magistrate here. I say, arrest her.
I think okay. Is there still any confusion that I'm Bao? If there is,
I think to Zhang there is.
Oh, yeah. Really?
I don't think to. I think with it was clear to.
Remember, Bao knows that, or Zhang knows that Bao is a girl. So anything that you're doing wrong as Bao, he's probably contributing to what he discovered.
Okay. So, what
do you want to do?
I think that what I'm going to do actually is I've seen Bao fight many times, and I am going to essentially do the guard for that and go, you must come with me. but put my blade up in that guard thing so that she does think it's me. If she attacks, then I have the advantage that I can switch styles on her. That's all that I've got.
Interesting. So doing hearts and minds to kind of keep her fooled?
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds reasonable.
What do you think it is to do that hearts and minds?
I am in bad shape. So
yes, you are.
I will use control calculation, which was pretty much what I described. And yes, so yeah, that seems as good as I'm going to get right now.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Please, this would be awesome if it worked. Oh, it worked. Boxcars say. So she is, for all she knows, she's reacting to Bao.
And she turns to Bao and she says, Magistrate Bao, this person came in here and attacked me. Please arrest him.
And at this point she goes, I think it is. Oh no, my lady, this is the culmination of a long investigation. She steps forward.
And you have a moment.
It gives her a wink. Like,
okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Now, here, let me ask you this, Zhang. If you go, you are leaving Night Sky Ming here with Whip Hand Shang. But if you don't go, Nine Blossoms is in deadly peril.
I really am torn by this. This is terrible because I am sworn to protect both of them, and my playbook is the loyal. I think that this might be some kind of inner conflict.
I do think this is maybe the most acute of inner conflicts for you, sir.
It's so cute. Great. It's very cute. Damn it. I think.
What do you think Zhang wants to do?
Zhang wants to run after to save Nine Blossoms because he trusts Night Sky Ming's ability to protect herself, even though he's told Sedate Rao that,
Right. So with that in mind, what do you want to roll with?
Water, wisdom, and flexibility.
Okay. Then let's have you roll.
You sure realize I'm the only one who didn't put a name above my dice. I'm such a slacker. Oh, wow. That's a 4 + 1, 5. That is a fail.
So you are going to mark water because that does kill you. And you hesitate. You hesitate. And then you take off. Precious moments wasted in that hesitation as you run out the door into the courtyard in search of Nine Blossoms. Does that seem fair? Hold on.
You're fair. The dice are not fair.
Yeah, I'll just put that hard move over here on the hard move shelf. Right. Let's just set that right there. All right. So you're in this big chamber, lots of people around, many people here, passing cloud. You bear the face of a villain. You haven't seen your brother yet here. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
Shardsaber has put his trust in you to make this choice.
Yeah, it's probably a terrible idea. I don't know why I did that. So I think Passing Cloud is going to put down the platter of dumplings that he's been carrying in from the kitchens, and is then going to stride towards sort of the high table. He's going to dramatically take off the little chef's chef's cap that he's wearing, because obviously people wouldn't recognize him with that on. And is going to loudly declaim, "Coral Lantern, I am Passing Cloud Yoon, the last child born to the Yoon family."
The villain is Yoon. Oh, that's a terrible Yoon.
I know what you did to my family, and I know the plans you have in motion still. I propose a deal. I will offer you my life in exchange for that of 9 blossoms.
Why don't you make a hearts and minds roll?
Certainly. I am... It's probably going to be with metal, I think. It's a toss-up between... Well, I mean, my only choices are metal and water, and I feel metal is probably slightly closer to the approach I'm taking. So this isn't great, but we'll see.
Let's see.
That's a 7. So, yeah, that's as good as I could hope for.
So here's the thing. She is not susceptible to your words.
Right, yep.
But you will see from the side, you'll see a figure that you probably haven't met, a gentleman who's kind of been coming in, and he hears these words, hears you say these things, and you see his eyes go wide, and we see Sedate Rao rush out. And Sedate, you may gain a bond with Sedate Rao as he runs to find out what's going on with 9 blossoms. And Coral Lantern says, I have no idea what you're talking about here. The Yoon clan continues to be a treacherous snake, interrupting even these, the most hallowed of ceremonies. And she will gesture, and you will see a warrior stand up, and he moves to engage you. Clearly, he's going to move and get you out of here. Now, before you react, let me ask what Shardsaber Lan is doing. Once again, the Yoon clan has been impugned in front of you, but there are all these masters.
Yeah, there's a lot of, wait, you're offering her what? No, that is not. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. So I think the sort of struggle here is that if I let them take him off to somewhere private, I'll actually have a much easier time getting him out of it and getting us out of this situation. But if I do let them take them off, like, that's going against my things, and if I give up this situation right here, I might not have as good a shot at Coral Lantern, because she's super distracted right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if this is like an inner conflicty thing or something.
Do you want to roll in conflict?
Yeah, sort of.
I think it is. You are torn between a couple of paths that relate to your entanglements here.
This would be his famous patience. Me, the only one with patience left in the group at a -1.
Yes.
No, Doug, stop it. No, I have to click the button. That's a 5.
Well, you burned through your patience there. Please mark wood. What do you do?
I think Passing Cloud was holding the big tray of dumplings. I think I've got like the giant soup tureen up on one shoulder, and I think as they're like grabbing Passing Cloud and taking him out, I drop the soup tureen and it shatters everywhere, and I have to put up with being like yelled at and scolded by upper cooks and stuff for a while just to maintain the disguise.
And so you hesitate. You don't do anything?
Right. I think it's not exactly the runaway. I am marking my patience, but I think it's like having to sit through keeping up this act is burning through the last of my patience sort of thing.
And I think that is the moment that someone there, you see, one of the representatives from the liquid metal delegates is seated there, and he says very loudly, as you come up and your disguise is slightly askew, he will say, "Jane Saber Lawn!" And they all point at you. "Assassin!" We'll come back to you in just one moment.
Whoops.
That is something of a distraction. So we're leaving that scene with James Iberlon having been found out with this warrior approaching to engage Passing Cloud. And now Whip Hand Shang and Magistrate Bao alone. And she says he is getting away. Take a drink.
And she sort of stops and goes, "Oh, worry not. Our people are on this." And she goes, "You should sit down, calm." And she sort of leads her back to her chair and goes, "Oh, here. Tonight, you must be unruffled." And sets her down and sort of goes behind her to essentially adjust her dress.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as she gets down there, I'm going to hit her over the head with something. I just want to knock her out.
She is above your scale.
She is, but I do have the element of surprise on her.
This is the thing. She is a
Boxcars on Hearts and Mind, lol.
All right, I will give you temporary scale.
Thank you.
With only what's on the table for you to do is to knock her out long enough for you to get out of here.
Yep.
Okay. Does that seem fair as a way to handle that?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, why don't you roll and let's see what the dice say?
Yeah, I know, but let's see here. So I am rolling water. Hopefully I will have something still to show for it. So that's 8.
That is an 8. So yes, you will knock her out.
All right.
And you can rush out to follow Zhang.
All right.
And when you step outside, you will see this guy come at you.
Oh, okay.
And he says to you, he says, "Zhang has told me of your perfidy, Magistrate Bao, and Bronze Viper engages you in combat."
Oh, no!
Oh, man! As you may recall, last session, Zhang set Bronze Viper and his fellows on a mission to attack, which apparently is going off right now. We will come back to that.
So some good news, some bad news.
Some bad news, yes. Zhang, where do you think Nine Blossoms is?
I have no earthly idea. I'm still laughing at Bronze Tiger. Wow, he's the best. Now I want to travel around with him, attacking people inappropriately. At the worst possible time. He's like a walking hard move. He just travels on the shelf with you. Where would I go? So she told someone to go make that happen.
Yeah.
That person has to go where they are. So I see Zhang like running across rooftops trying to look for that person, maybe spot their kimono or their hair or something.
Then let's have you roll. I think this is less a study than more of an overcome.
Oh, that sounds awesome. So I will. I'm trying to move with speed. I'm very passionate about this and being creative. Yes. So fire feels like the right move for me. I'm going to take a moment and look at my moves to see if I have one that's better or more appropriate here.
Fair enough.
I don't think I do, but then again, I'm always adding moves. Nope. Okay, here we go.
All right.
I've rolled a 7 plus 2 is a 9. And do I have a bond I could burn? Not really. Nope.
So you will rush across the courtyard and you're like, okay, I see to where some of the people has gone. And you see maybe a couple of your fellows from the liquid metal delegates who are there. And you go, that must be where they're staying. And you will rush past and you will pull open the doors and you will run in and you will see Night Sky Ming, not Sky Ming, sorry, Nine Blossoms prostrate, her flesh pale. And you will see this person holding this vial over her. And you see Sedate Rao. What do?
I see Sedate Rao with the vial standing over Nine Blossoms.
Yes, he's kind of got her head and he's got the poison vial.
I'm using Legend of the Mountain. Will you defend someone or something from an immediate threat roll?
All right, then what do you want to roll with?
That's a move that I bought several game sessions ago. Yes, it's fire. It's all fire right now. I'm all fire all the time.
Let's have you roll.
I have rolled an 8 plus 2 makes it a 10. With this move on a 10, it just you keep them safe and choose one. And 7 and 9, I would have to expose myself. So I will. I'll also choose to gain a bond with a person protected.
All right. And what do we see on screen happen?
I think you hear the fluttering of cloth, right? And he lands between, and the splinter is out, and he slashes at the vial. He doesn't attack Sedate Rao because he's going to talk some mad smack at him first.
Okay.
But he slices the vial in half and stands between Sedate Rao and like bumps Nine Blossoms, I guess, if he has to. He says, "What are you doing?"
And he falls backwards and he goes, "Administer the antidote."
Awesome.
And he looks down at the broken vial.
I dive down and grab the vial up, and I'm trying to scoop it and pour it into her mouth. Is there more? Is there more?
It was all I could find.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Nine Blossoms.
And we'll come back to you in just one moment. So this figure has moved forward to confront you, and you also see that Shard Saber Lon has been called out in the middle of this. What do you want to do, Passing Cloud?
I think I will bow to the warrior as he approaches, and say, if your mistress is not willing to hear out my words, I have no further desire to disrupt the proceedings here. I will leave of my own accord. If you wish to make an issue of this, then may I suggest we do so outside to avoid further disruption.
He says, yes, let us go outside, not in here. And he will move to follow you. We're going to come back to you in a second, but I want to see at that same sort of parallel moment as Rivaling Torrent leads you outside to get you out of here. What you do, Jade Saber. Sorry, Shard Saber.
Yeah, I think there's like we're in this central hall, and there's all these like beautifully decorated tables and preparations for everything, and I just want to go to one of those fully laden, perfectly decorated tables and just kick it right in this guy's face.
All right. And when you say this guy, do you mean you're the person from the Liquid Metal Delegates who's called you out, or do you mean the guy who's going after your friend?
No, they're walking calmly out to have a nice discussion outside. It's this guy who's running towards me.
Okay, all right. Then I think that this is a foe below your scale.
Wow, I haven't gotten one of those.
Not for a while.
But yes, I love the idea of Passing Cloud being all concerned about the decorations, and well, I just spilled soup over everything. I don't even care. All right, so those three, which will be a 10.
That is a 10. So I assume you don't want to kill this guy.
No.
Okay, then you may mark XP. Essentially, we see some of these Liquid Metal Delegates. They saw your demonstration. They know about that. They rush to engage, to try and catch you because they know that you're wanted, that you're a villain. And then suddenly, hot and sour soup is all in their faces. A big bowl of it, and even the shark fin soup, the rich and lavish, is on them, and they fall back as that table. And again, with your strength, with that ability that you have, you flip that table, flip those things, and it's like nobody's business there. And if you want to, you can get out of here.
Yeah, I think I run out like the opposite way from where Passing Cloud is going, and I think with that takes a thief move, like there's various people like grabbing and trying to get me on the way out, and they're just like pulling off the pieces of the worker's costume that he'd put on, but Lon just keeps twisting between them and just barely getting away.
Apron, hat, all of the little handkerchief, all of that. By the time you get outside, you're back in your original costume, and we see you
and
on,
I think there's
on the ground.
just this long shot down the people that I came through, and all of them are just confusedly holding one piece of my costume up.
And I'm going to cut back then to you, Passing Cloud. This gentleman has picked up his spear with the point on the end and the red tassel on it, and he comes and he takes you outside, and he will stop and will bow to you.
Yeah, I will return the bow.
And he will take his spear and he will put it down slightly, and he is a foe that is on your scale.
Yeah, I will slip into a defensive stance. I'll say I had no wish to bring violence to a day that should be one of celebration, but I can do nothing but stand for the honor of my family and myself as a warrior. And
he holds the spear down. He says, I could only say the same.
That's a 9.
That is a 9. So you get to pick one of those. Do you want to win at a cost? Do you want to narrate how you lose? Do you want to deadlock with them?
I quite like the deadlock, actually.
Okay.
So I think he sort of comes at me. Sorry. He sort of comes at me with the spear and a few passes, and I sort of evade them, and once again sort of produce the chain, which worked well last time I had to fight somebody wielding a spear. And I think we have several passes leaping around the scenery. And I think as he comes in, it's one of those moments where I catch the chain around the spear just below the head, and the head is sort of almost at my throat.
Yeah.
Whilst I also have the other end of the chain sort of caught around his. And I think we both kind of do that look at each other and release sort of thing.
Do you want to reveal something, or do you want to learn something?
I want to.
And
I think I will.
To be game changing.
Yeah. What do? I think. I think so. Rivaling Torrent is one of the Ox.
Pilgrim escort bearer. He's clearly been brought here and household guard duties.
And I think he will sort of say, yeah, you have fought well, but this was an unwise moment to reveal yourself. We are aware of Coral Lantern's crimes.
And he says, please give my regards to Night Sky Ming when you see her. Tell her that she's in my thoughts.
Excellent.
Steps back to let you go.
Cool.
Bronze Viper comes to cut you down, Magistrate Bow, to finally get justice. You're muted.
Yes, I know. I was unmuting myself. There was a cat in the way of my mouse. So I think that what it is Night Sky Ming is like, okay, there's no time to do any explanation here. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that she can do is keep up the bow thing. And essentially she's like, fool, you have no idea what investigations you've gotten in the way of. She goes, there's no other way I can reveal Coral Lantern's perfidy. And she will dance around him with the blade and essentially shout out everything she knows about Coral Lantern's organization and their plans.
Let's have you roll hearts and minds.
Okay. Oh, I'm actually going to use my fighting style for this because it is my fight. Does that make any sense? Ugh. Come on, dice. So that gives me 9.
9. So I think you're going to gain a bond with them because and he reminds you a little bit of Zhang in this. He goes, I don't understand any of this. I told you to fight. Magistrate Bao, I've been told you're a villain. We'll deal with Coral Lantern in a bit. And continues to press on you, though he is still you've been able to move across the courtyard. How does that sound?
That sounds lovely. So if I can get so that I'm in a shadow, I'll do the only thing I can do, which is pull back my my disguise at that point so that he can see it, but no one else can.
Interesting. And what do we think now? I don't think that.
And then, if I can, like when he reacts, I would like to step up and do a thing that essentially, like, I'm encouraging him to like kill me or fake kill me. Does that mean it, or fake kill me? Like essentially run his blade through. You know, I do the whole.
Let me ask Zhang a question.
Okay.
Zhang, did you tell Bronze Viper that Magistrate Bao was a woman?
No, that's obviously something Magistrate Bao wishes to hide for some reason, and I would not. I think that's a big shocker for Bronze Viper.
Then I think there is that moment when you do that, the mustache comes off and you see him go, what? And steps back. We'll come back to you in just 1 second. Rich. She puts her hand up.
I'm here.
Please, you must stop Coral Lantern.
I will, of course. You should rest. I don't know how much of the antidote you've gotten, but we should find more to make sure that you
must go.
He looks up, sedate Rao.
And Rao looks just like broken. He's, this is what he tried to prevent.
She sent someone here to kill her. I'm so sorry I didn't trust you.
It is I who betrayed you, who did not speak to you, did not trust this information to you. If only.
He stands up, and I'm entrusting her to you. I must go kill Coral Lantern.
I will get her to safety, and I will see what I can do.
There's a moment where he just reaches out and puts his hand on sedate Rao's shoulder, and then he reaches down and kind of cups Nine Blossom's cheek, and then he's out.
And he says one thing before you leave. He goes, please, I know that your love has been injured, but do not let my love be lost as well.
I will hold to my promise to you, my friend.
And he will go. You head out. Let's come back to I think Shardsaber. Shardsaber, I would like to have you cross paths maybe with one of the others. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
So which do you think it is? Is it Bronze Viper and a now revealed Magistrate Bao, or to your eyes, Magistrate Bao fighting, or is it Zhang Wen?
I don't think it's Night Sky because I haven't like finished the deal with Coral Lantern yet, so I don't have that to tell her, and I also don't want her to like get in my head about it before I can have a confrontation with her.
So you will see Zhang come flying out of these quarters, and he is making his way across the courtyard deliberately.
Yeah, so Zhang, I think you see Shartsaber land. He comes like panting and running sort of towards you before he really sees you, and you see him like looking back over his shoulder a bunch.
Shartsaber, what's wrong?
I was just no, it was the wedding. We were at the wedding. Passing Cloud and I were at the preparations, and Coral Lantern was there, and he accused her in public of all sorts of crimes that no one else knew about, so got thrown immediately out of the building, as did I.
Let's return. There's no use in accusing her of crimes. Let's kill her.
Yes, but there are too many masters there. We have to catch her off guard somehow. And Passing Cloud, he's probably been locked up or whipped or, I don't know, brainwashed or tormented or poisoned at some point. Surely he's not doing well.
And we will have to get Passing Cloud free. We could use his aid. We need to help Night Sky Ming. She is in the den of snakes as we speak.
Wait, there really is a snake one?
What? No, that was a figure of speech.
I'm just saying, there have been a lot of people with venomous variants.
You're not wrong.
They're flying right at my face. I don't know if I described that well enough, but it's really a lasting memory.
Sounds incredibly inconvenient.
It was awful.
Does the shoulder pat, but it's not nearly as emotional as Sedate Row. Like, the music's a little off. I'm sorry that you had to suffer that, Shartsaber. Come, you can take your vengeance out on those who've plotted against you.
Yes.
So, is it that you want to look for something? Is it that you want to do something? What do you think? What do you think is next on your agenda there, then, Shartsaber? How do you want to approach this? There's chaos all around. People have been attacked. The guards are rising, but there's still a lot of estate to move through and hide in.
Yeah, the problem is that we need to get Coral Lantern off, if not by herself, at least less surrounded by absolutely everyone in the building.
Mm-hmm.
But of course now we've publicly announced that we're here to, condemn and attack her, sort of thing. So that'll be more difficult.
Do you want to just try and find Passing Cloud then?
I think so. He, despite my being mean to him, he was right about where she was. He did have a plan going, and it wasn't a great plan, but it was a straightforward plan.
Then let's have you roll Overcome. This is essentially to find him without drawing undue attention to yourselves.
I think it's sort of funny that I'm in the exact same condition boat as Passing Cloud. So my options are very limited, but awareness is right there. It's 6, 7, 8, 9.
So that is a 9. So I think that you will see Passing Cloud. He's clearly come away from the melee. And then you will also see Passing Cloud.
Uh-oh.
And we will see the two of them moving across the courtyard, and they kind of see each other, and then they see you, and it's that moment where we've got essentially the mirrored actors there on screen.
Just like the very barely noticeable dividing line where they haven't quite lined up the shots.
Yes. a double impact. So yes, there we go. So I think that is a good point. We're going to come back and talk with Passing Cloud, but we're going to take our 6-minute break here, and then we will return. Sound good? Okay. John Woo.
Yep. Yeah, I already looked it up. I didn't want to interrupt you. Totally John Woo. Who I love a lot. And Hard Target's a damn good movie. I don't care. Fight me. Arnold Vosloo, Lance Henriksen, Jean-Claude Van
the
Damme.
theater. I remember.
I did too. I really liked Hard Target. It was back when I was running a vampire game set in New Orleans, so seeing the San Luis Cemetery was very exciting to me.
I just watched on Amazon Prime, they had a Sui Hark Wulin film that is very clearly a very early one, like before he did Swordsman or Bride with White Hair or Once Upon a Time in China. And it was wild. It was wild because it still kind of looked like a late period Shaw Brothers film, but had a lot of the Sui Hark sort of way things move, a moving camera, and the really high weirdness, and people blowing up.
He did not care. He just had an idea and he did it. I loved it. That is so cool. That sounds like a good. You'll have to link me.
It is the Butterfly Murders.
Butterfly Murders. Netflix must be picking up on the fact that I'm playing Hearts of Wulin, because I just earlier this morning went to Netflix and there were all of these very Hearts of Wulin series that were suggested to me. Like, interesting.
There are a bunch of stuff, a bunch of interesting series. Actually, the one I'm looking forward to is that period K-drama, but it's essentially like it looks like it's The Walking Dead set in Joseon, Korea.
Weird.
That I saw a trailer for. It looks crazy wild. So
Butterfly Murders. There it is. I'm adding it to watch list.
Yeah, it is wild.
Oh, they have Time and Tide. That's so cool.
They got a lot of stuff on Amazon. All right, so let us take up with this Passing Cloud. This Rivaling Torrent has just revealed to you that he and some others are at work here, perhaps creating an opportunity, and lets you go, and you're moving along, and then you'll see your friend Shardsaber, who seems to have made their way out. He has Zhang with him, and then you see your brother, who is shockingly dressed identically to you because you were disguised as him.
Indeed. So, I think, there'll obviously be that slight momentary meaningful glance towards Zheng, and then his eyes will focus on his brother, and he will sort of stride towards him.
He strides towards you.
Brother,
I
had hoped to meet you again. Have you?
And I had hoped to meet with you again to change your heart and to turn it away from the dark side.
It is your heart I had hoped to change. I hope you have thought on the words we exchanged last we met.
Still, you do not listen to me. And he will say, Shardsaber, stay out of this. I must deal with my brother.
You must put aside the blade. It is the only way out of this for you. I ask that you do it of your own free will, of your own volition. That takes true strength. Else I will take it from you.
Are we applying Blade Heart again?
I'm actually thinking this is possibly more Hearts and Minds than Blade Heart, because there's a specific action I want him to take rather than
and I think that Blade Heart, that successful one before, probably made him susceptible to your words if you can roll well.
Indeed.
This is your brother's last chance. What are you rolling with?
I think it probably is going to be with water here. I'm trying to talk him around to the wise course of action, as it were. So I think that's what it's got to be. That gets me a 9.
That gets you a 9. Do you have any bonds you want to burn?
I'm not sure if I've got any that are particularly relevant to this. My only bonds currently are with Sedate Rao and Zheng Wen.
I'm here. I got your back.
That is true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will burn a bond with Zheng to take me up to a 10. Well, an 11.
And he will pause there. And he will say, if you will come with me, I will break the sword. And then we can deal with these fools.
Perfect. Okay, he's the one that I want to destroy then.
And he does. He says honestly to you, he's been alone, passing cloud. He does, and he is willing to do what you say that you can join him in his quest to destroy these fools.
Brother, I will come with you, but these men have done nothing but help and support what remains of our family, what was taken from us. It is Coral Lantern and her lackeys who should be the object of our vengeance.
I'd like to contradict that if I could.
Yes.
I'd like to run screaming at a Dustcloak spider and try and use Kid with the golden arm on him, because I believe he can be broken.
Okay.
Or fight him if that's the way we want to go. But that's sort of my fictional intention.
All right. I think because of the distraction, because of his focus on his brother, I think he is on your level.
Cool. I totally am here for vengeance. Ugh. Well, that's an 11. It could have been much, much worse.
All right. You show him mercy.
No.
Then I think what you see passing cloud is Shard Saber land and strike your brother, to strike and shatter that sword. That's your intent. That's a major part of your intent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you'll hear that crack, and passing cloud, you see your brother kind of step, and you see a shard from the Jade Saber pokes out the front of him and he'll reach out his hand.
I'll take his hand and sort of glance to Lan and say, Lan, what have you done? Brother, I am...
Told you. We'll come back to you, particularly to Zhang, who's witnessed this scene in just a moment. But I want to deal with Night Sky Ming and a shocked Bronze Viper.
And she kind of goes, puts the disguise back, and she goes, surely you bronze Viper, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
Bronze Viper. Yes. and I'll sort of like clasp him on the arm, and I'll say, you can see reason. You understand the perfidy of these foes. Help us, help me take them into custody. And essentially, I'm kind of giving that public performance so that we can, how should I say, untangle from this fight.
And he will step back and he will say, my men are in position to strike. That is what we are about to do. You and Zhang and the others must do what you can, because this will be the end of the liquid metal delegates today.
And she goes, all right. And she kind of bows to him, and she gives him the names of all of the people that she knows that are associated in that. And essentially rushes off.
And we can see that. We can see that moment where Bronze Viper kind of gives a whistle, and we see the various liquid metal delegates that he's put into position around the household. And, the people at that dinner, and swords suddenly come out. And essentially the liquid metal delegates begin to fight the people of the Purity Sword sect here. And a general melee begins to break out. And some of the masters are shocked, and they have people with them that are getting them out of there rather than engaging in the fight. But we see all of that going on. What do you want to do in the midst of what is suddenly broke out into a chaotic mess?
Let's see. Of those that are here,
who are you looking for? Who do you want to find? You know that Whip-Hand Shang will be waking up. You know that those assassins are around. Coral Lantern. There's chaos in the wedding hall. You don't know where Sedate Rao is at. What do you want to do?
She knows and she sort of stops, and what she's looking for is one of the Purity Sword sect top guards that has the keys that go all the way to the inner sanctums.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So do you want to do this as a study action, or do we want to do this just as a simple overcome to get a hold of that important item?
I think overcome is good.
Okay. Then let's have you do that. What are you rolling with?
Think water.
Okay.
Oh, I may regret it, but oh my gosh, so many tabs after a while. Okay, here we go. So that gives me an 8.
That gives you an 8. So you will get a hold of these keys. Essentially, we see you in the midst of that fight that is broken out, and we see you grab onto those keys. But even as we see that, we'll cut across the room, and you will see Rivaling Torrent sees you, and he goes to say something, and then you'll see him go,
Oh my gosh. Who stabbed him?
It looks like there's just general fight that has broken out here, and he has been caught by a sword strike in the back here.
Okay, I run to him.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a
Okay.
minute. Because when you get over to him, you will see that there appears to be some kind of insect on his wound there. We'll come back to that in a moment. Zhang,
Yes.
you witness these two brothers arguing, discussing, talking, and then with a speed and a suddenness that shocked you, you see Shardsaber strike one of them down.
I hope that was the right one.
What do you do?
Passing cloud?
Zhang,
Passing. Are you... What is this? There's a doppelganger.
my brother. And he's going to turn back to Lan and say, he may have been walking a dark path, but he was still my brother. I failed to save him. I failed to save Nine Blossoms.
I think Lan will pull his sword out of Duskcloak Spider's back and just sort of like knock him to the ground and say, "This thing was no longer your brother. This thing was barely even human anymore. You have no idea what the Stormcloud Assassin's techniques do to a man."
He was fighting. There was still good in him, I know. He even had... People still had love in their hearts for him. And he's going to very pointedly not look towards Zhang. If I only had but a fraction of the devotion shown to him by some, I would... It is no matter. This is over. It is all over. There is no meaning in the Yun anymore. We are done.
No, that's what you don't understand. You see yourself as weak. You're strong. You've managed to turn away from these temptations time and again. Your brother had no strength in him. Once these techniques are learned, once your soul is twisted in this way, there's nothing for the future but blood and death. He says there, standing covered in your brother's blood.
Having learned those techniques, yes?
There will be time for mourning later. Coral Lantern needs to be stopped.
And you all can hear the sounds of general fighting having broken out. The sounds of swords and battles and so on as the outnumbered liquid metal delegates at Bronze Viper's command have moved to strike.
And I think, Passing Cloud is going to stand. He's going to he's not going to do the kind of flip up martial artsy type thing. He's just going to gradually get to his feet, and he will bow to Zheng and say, "For you, Zheng, I will do this. That is all."
Thank you.
And what's your take on that, Shardsaber?
I sort of agree. We have a mission to be getting on with, and emotions can be sorted out later.
Ooh, cold and dark. All right. And Zheng, so they seem to fall in behind you, and you are running towards someplace particular, or towards where the fighting sounds the fiercest.
I'll quickly ask them where last was Coral Lantern.
In the main banquet hall. I doubt she's still there.
Understood. So let us go and help Night Sky Ming. Then all of us can face Coral Lantern. I'm sure she will not be far.
All right, I'm going to cut away from that to Night Sky Ming. You will see this waiter step back away from Rivaling Torrent, and you can see that she has this praying mantis in her hand. You muted.
And praying mantis aren't poisonous, but that doesn't matter.
She looks at you. There are ways. There are arts.
But I think this is the thing is that she grabs Rivaling Torrent and she does pull away the insect and fling it back at her and lays him down with a surprising amount of gentleness in that moment.
Well, let's see when you fight someone who is on your scale.
Yes.
What happens?
All right. Oh, horrible, horrible thing. Should have called the exterminators. All right, here goes. So it gives me an 8.
All right. So when you fight someone on your scale, on a 7 to 9, choose one.
Okay, that means I have to read the move. Okay. This is a duel or the duel? Okay, so I'll choose one. What did it cost? Mark cheat, injury, escape, list of petition. I think I'm going to have to win at a cost because.
Absolutely.
Do I choose the cost or do you?
No, I choose the cost.
Okay, you choose the cost.
So you fling that back. She catches it, and you see her. Essentially, the mantises are gone, but you'll see that she has these finger covers that have that sharp, poisoned look of the mantis, like the claw strike, and she comes at you. And you will realize, even as she does that there's something of an illusion about it. The way she's moving, her arms move, and you realize that one of them is not moving where you think it is, and that she's caught you in your blind spot with this strike. And then you will see this figure leap in the way.
No.
And you will see this woman has taken the hit for you.
No, I know who it is.
And you will see the Western daughter from the Frost Queen, the one you fought, the one you healed. And she will look at you even as she collapses. Tell me how you strike down Dancing Mantis.
And I say, you pitiful wench, you do not deserve to have been the one that caused any harm to her. I will just be like, and it's just, she's just caused all this devastation to friends and to someone that she held far more dear than she realized, I think, in that moment. And it is, how do you say, her style is inherently water, and it is like her blade. I don't think she even thinks about it. Her blade just flows out from her and through this woman, and it doesn't stop no matter what it hits.
She tries to get that, and you cut through those mantis claws and into her, and eyes go wide, and she will drop to the ground. And we can see that the fighting has gone out, kind of has pushed outside to leave this big room here kind of open. And you will look up, and you will see Coral Lantern and Whip Hand Shang look up at you from the end of that high table. Shang has recovered. You see that she's, kind of still nursing her head where you struck her on the top of it. And Coral Lantern says, "The prodigal daughter returns."
She says, "I was never your daughter."
And I think that's the point at which the doors will come open. And we will see Zhang, we will see Passing Cloud, and we will see Shard Saber.
Your time has come to an end, Coral Lantern.
She goes, "I think not. I think we will rise from the ashes. Our clan, our faction will be honored, having survived an assault by assassins, by the liquid metal delegates who allied with the villainous Yoon. You have given me this on a platter."
Let's see what this platter costs you, mother.
Yes.
So we have two foes who are here. We have Whip Hand Shang backing up Coral Lantern. So I think that we need to figure out what everybody is doing here. Zhang, you've given your speech. Passing Cloud, what do you want to do?
So I think, Passing Cloud will be he'll have already produced the chains and he'll be sort of gently whirling them around. And I think he's probably going to be positioning himself to defend Zheng, and to an extent the others as well, from any attempts at subterfuge and
Excellent. You're watching for additional stratagems, kind of, because there are other assassins out there, possibly. So you are moving in position. What are you doing, Shard Saber?
I think he's pulling out said Shard Saber, and we get another sort of close up on it like we had before. But now that vibrant green core that was in the middle of it seems smaller and darker and sort of withered, and the blood red streaks that were around the leading edge of it seem to have encompassed more of it and sort of grown. Things are not going well for his soul.
Right.
Those sorts of things. Don't care about Whip Hand Shang, whatever, barely even see her. Care about Coral Lantern. But I think just to make things interesting and more destructive and chaotic rather than going directly at her, I'd be trying to cause chaos and bring down the building, because I think it may take as much as collapsing a building on her to get rid of this threat.
All right. And what about you then, Night Sky?
I think she's had a childhood of testing and cautiousness, and she sees her three fellows, and she's gone into full tactician mode at this point. So she's dropped back. I mean, she's standing right here by the body of her friend rivaling Torrent, with her blade kind of still just having finished its arc through that woman. And I think you see her step back and start to walk behind the other three to get the arc that she's going to need.
Okay. So the person I heard attacking is Zhang, right?
Yeah.
And the others are supporting. So Zhang, who are you going after?
Going straight after Coral Lantern. I mean,
Okay.
I'm going to force Whip and Shang to defend her. I'm going to force them to make action. I want them to be on their heels.
Absolutely. And you're going to try and break the building, is what I heard, Patrick?
That is what I said.
Okay. Well, then let's start with the building breaking. And then I want to come and check with Night Sky and Passing Cloud, and then we'll get to that roll.
I think this is much more metal than water.
Okay. Let's have you roll.
Let's see. You and you. Go. That's an 8. So on a 7 to 9, I can simply break something, or I can take the 10+ option where I break it impressively by marking chi. So I'm definitely marking chi to break the building impressively.
Okay.
As I land near them with the saber like coming straight down into the ground, near them being Whip Hand and Coral Lantern. It like breaks a sigil, like the main sigil from the Jade Saber, probably the one bit of carving we saw poking out of Dustcloak Spider's chest just a moment ago with the shard of the saber there. And it spreads out to the building, and the building, like the cracks spread up the side, and it starts collapsing in sort of an orderly, like things are falling down in ways that people could run up them or interact with the falling building in neat ways.
Absolutely. And what are you, is this crashing down? Suddenly the dust that, even as this melee fight breaks out, we see the shaky camera. What are you doing, Night Sky, as Zhang charges up?
I think that as the building is falling and the upper balcony comes down, the thing that happens is that the railing, the very ornate railing on it, falls down first, and she's able to run up that to sort of get an arc to come down just behind Zhang to run the blade through. So essentially what it is that she's there to follow up and support Zhang in this first strike of his.
And how are you assisting this Passing Cloud?
Sorry. Yeah, so Passing Cloud is again moving with Zhang as he goes. He's probably sort of lashing out with his chain at sort of combatants that are getting too close from the general melee. I think maybe at one point he kind of like whips out his chain to like shatter a bit of falling masonry as it's coming down. I think that's sort of how he's coming in. He's probably keeping an eye on Whip Hand, as no one seems to be directly engaging with her at the minute.
You want to make a study move?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah.
I think I will roll this one to see how it goes. I will go with... do I want to risk? Yeah, no, I will go with water.
Okay. And you get a free question.
Yep. Ooh, that's Snake Eyes there. So that's a grand total of 4.
Okay. And you get to ask a question.
Yep.
And feel free to draw on like other Apocalypse World style questions if you want.
Yep, certainly. Okay, no. What I'm actually going to ask is, what are Whip Hand's intentions here?
Whip Hand is essentially trying to defend Coral Lantern. Coral Lantern is her master, and she is clearly, surprisingly selflessly, getting in the way there.
Right, cool. That was. I wasn't sure if there'd maybe be a kind of surprise betrayal there, but that's good to know.
If you had rolled better, we could have gotten a declaration on that.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
So, Rich.
Yes. I presumably will I be marking the chi I rolled for that?
Oh no, I've got another one for that.
Okay, no,
that was an option on that, so I'm going to save that.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I got a shelf over somewhere.
Here. Yeah.
So, Zhang, you rush up when you fight someone on your scale.
Yes. Okay. Heaven's Sword and Dragon's Saber. I do have a +1 when you deal with mooks or impress someone from the martial world, so that doesn't help. Swordsman. Additional wounded condition. Okay, just checking my moves.
Absolutely.
I've been terrible at that. And it looks like I'm just straight up rolling with my style, which is a +2. Do I have any bronze to burn here?
I've said that I will support you. Do you need me to make a roll now?
Well,
yes, please.
Those are about scale right now.
Okay,
what you're doing is getting.
Oh, okay, that's you basically the support guy him to the scale. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. I've rolled a 9 + 2 is an 11.
So you will come up and you come at Coral Lantern, and she kind of dives back, and she's got some of that Frost Queen style, and you see what she does is she pushes Whip Hand Shang in front of her, and you will run Whip Hand through. And she will step back away from that because you got up too close, and you'll see Whip Hand's eyes go wide, not from the sword, but from the having been pushed in the way. And this is as the building is kind of crashing down, and the four of you are moving up on her.
And Lowell, can I say a thing?
Yeah.
When she sees that, she goes north, south, east, west. We have defeated her before. The Frost King taught us how.
And
cool. I'm gonna nod to that. I'm sorry. Just I want to set up a cover of support because I have this move that helps me that I just recently bought. And I say, hold on a second. As always, nice guy Ming knows the way. Everyone, follow her lead.
And what do we see you do? Even as the building is kind of crashing, you guys are kind of maybe probably have smashed out through the back of it. You're maybe obviously you're in a garden now. We've cut the scenes there as the building has come down. There's some dust in the air from that. What do we see you do?
Oh, I cannot. I'm sorry for the life of me. Which compass point did he fight? Because that's the point he'll take.
I thought, did you fight the hidden weapons one?
Sure. That sounds good. I really I'm
was the southern one was the hidden weapons.
Southern sounds right. Yeah. Southern sounds right because I'm a redneck from the south. So yes. So I take the southern point. And can I roll comfort support?
We're gonna have that in a second. I want to get everybody in position, and then we'll resolve rolls. Lon, what are you doing? You your crashing in the building gave the opportunity. They've struck. You've pulled away Coral Lantern's best defense here, and now she has to face you all. What do you want to do?
So I think there's the sort of spreading dust cloud from the building, and Lon comes striding out, sort of peering from it, and all the like building rubble has stuck to the streaks of blood across him and sort of made these dark marks going across him. And I think I'll go with Zheng's plan. I'll set up on the opposite side of her from him, so that I'm not really in Zhang's view, but like would be fully in view of the other two if they took up their points.
Perfect. Southern and northern points. What do you do then, Passing Cloud?
Yeah, he's going to step out of the building as well. Also, with that light coating of dust all over him, you could almost say that he was cloaked in it, I suppose, if
yes,
if you wished. And he will take up one of the empty cardinal points as well, and begin whirling the chains around in a sort of increasingly intricate pattern.
And then you move into position.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So, Rich, you can do your comfort and support if you wish.
I'll do that. I think that there are warm feelings towards her, and so I am relying upon no, I can't do that. That's marked. Okay. I think I'm trying to reflect upon this, think about all of the times that Nice Guy Ming has known stuff that confused Singwen, and so I am rolling with metal. And I rolled a 5 plus 2, thank God, 7.
Good.
So you can create a bond, burn it to give her a +2.
That is exactly what I'm doing.
If she takes any repercussions from this attack, you will take them as well.
Sure.
You have this one moment. There's one moment because of the dust, because of the crashed building, because of the 4 cardinal points, because Zhang studied the Frost Queen's style. All of those things. You have one chance to finish her. Please roll duel with someone on your scale.
Okay.
Sherry.
Okay, dice. You can do this. It's a 7 plus 4 is an 11.
So tell me what this looks like with the 4 of them at the cardinal points, each contributing to this. What do we see?
I think that essentially it is that sort of, it's a cinematic callback to every strike that we took. And you see the sort of like Coral Lantern holds us off very well. But it's almost like each time she defends herself or holds herself back, it's almost like exactly what we faced when we fought our other people. And it's like, because we know what's coming, it's almost like a machine in the sense that we kind of, all of us recognize what's happening and we're all closing in on her.
She does the movements of her cloth like the net that you fought. She has the hidden weapons like before they pop out from her hands that you fought that against. She, grabs and moves with a pole in the spear style that you saw. And she has the braids and the rope. I mean, she switches between these things. She knows all of the elements of this. And all of you cut past. Essentially, we kind of get that one shot of the montage on that, where we see Patrick, we see you cutting through the cloth of the net and pushing her back on that. We see, as she produces those hidden weapons, you shattering them with the legendary sword you possess. When she gets the pole up, again, your chains wrap, catch, and pull those away. And then as she kind of goes to the sort of belt rope, you're cutting through that. What is the final strike, Sherry?
I think the thing is that all of our blades go icy. And essentially, it's like the first one of us to strike through that circle through her defense. It's just like mine goes through, and then you see ice shoot out from the other 4 or the other 3 blades. And from the chain, you could see it like it sort of slashes across. So it's not a strike, it's 4 strikes.
And she looks shocked as she suddenly realizes at that last moment that you have trained with the Frost Queen, that you know her style. And it is as much as anything that panic that she maybe moves to try and escape, and you'll catch her with that. And she will hang there for a moment before she crashes to the ground. And it's just the sound of rubble, the sound of fighting off in the distance, and Coral Lantern laying there dead on the ground. Do you feel any better, Night Sky?
I think that she sort of looks around the circle and she sees all the pain, and she stops and she looks at Lan. She sees his blade.
And his stance. What do you say?
Well, if the Yun clan is going to have its day, it's going to have to decide if it's good or it's evil. And I think she looks at Night Sky, or at Jade's, or Shard Saber Lan, and she actually faces off against him.
Shard Saber.
Don't you think we've moved past that at this point? What the Yun clan needs to survive is power.
And she looks at him and she goes, I've been watching you all the time. I've been there for you all the time. I'm the one who knows who you are. Let's see if your power can stand up to that.
Passing Cloud, you see Shard Saber and Night Sky move and square off.
He's just going to stand there watching quietly for a moment. I do not want to see this infighting, but I see no alternative. Lan, you said there was no escape from the path once you had started down it. Night Sky, I think you must do what you must, and we will see if the Yun clan has a future.
Zheng.
There are volumes of words in Zheng's eyes as he looks between the two of them. And then he steps beside Night Sky Ming and redraws the splinter. Stands at her side. Whenever I have lost my way, Night Sky Ming has been the beacon to show me the truth. You're wrong. You will die.
Night Sky Ming, how does this fight between the two of you begin? What do we see on screen? What does your style look like for this opening?
Our style's water. But in this moment, it is all tears. It is literally just tears rolling down her face and onto her sword. And she's just holding it, and she's letting the water kind of go off the tip. It's not anything structured, but when she takes a step forward, she flicks the tears away.
And in this movement, the water, the tears there, what does your response look like, Lon? With that sword that is pulsing with the red?
Yeah, I think you see his hands like as Night Sky steps forward and sort of confronts him. We sort of like move the shot away from his face and down to his hand holding the saber, and you see his fist just getting tighter and tighter, especially as Zheng steps up beside her, and just like white knuckle gripping the blade, he moves forward to begin this duel with Night Sky. Names. Oh God, names. But where she's very smooth and sort of atmospheric with the tears and everything. He's coming down in these like hard, sharp strikes on that end up landing on either side of her, sort of back and forth, with this like crack of stone and thunder each time the saber comes down.
Right. Now, this is PvP. This is not a rolled move. Tell me, Sherry, what are you offering Lon? You put one offer on the table, and it can be future events, can be actions, it can be what things look like here, it can be experience points, it can be marking chi, whatever you want to offer Lon. You make that offer once, and then we see whether Lon accepts it or not.
I think that I am offering him all the narrative and no follow-up from me. He finishes the fight.
She's offering you the chance to describe all of what happens if you will accept her victory.
That's infuriating, because I was going to ask you what that victory looked like as part of the offer, but I can't if I'm saying what it looked like. No, it's twisty and evil. Yeah. Yes.
You accept. Patrick, we see that blow. The tears come out. We see that Jade Saber style that is so striking. We've seen it throughout the series. Now we see it with a red tracery behind it in the air instead of the green. We see your two fellows standing by watching. So tell me what happens,
yeah, there's that initial sort of spinning, swirling back and forth with him coming down very hard and sharp, and the thunder blows, and her just sort of, I think, gracefully spinning and twirling out of the way of each blow. And I think when it turns is when she does that like flick of her blade, and the tears come flying off, and we get like one of those we paid so much money for these 30 seconds sort of shots of like these water droplets slowly flying across the air, and they splash like one at a time on the red parts of the crystal blade with, again, these like thunderous blows, even though they're little tiny water drops. And I think there's like steam that comes up from them, like the blade was hot, and there's just these small cracks that go through it. And we sort of zoom back out into the larger fight, and you see this like frustration and rage sort of coming over Lan's face as he goes for a more direct blow straight at Ming's chest. And she, what is your weapon? I'm sorry.
It's just a guard sword. There's nothing
That's
more.
it, right? Yeah. But her sword, it comes up in this sort of casual passing block that, instead of knocking the sword away, hits where those cracks had spread, and the saber just shatters. And I think Lan, like uncaring, comes at her even still. And I think she has just this sad, sort of tearful look on her face as she takes one small step back, and we see like her blade come straight down through Lan's chest. I think there's like heartbeat sound, all the background noise goes out, and there's just this from both of them, and it goes black there.
And so eventually the blackness ends and we see some daylight. We might get an expansive shot, perhaps a drone shot, maybe, as it lifts up and we can see the bodies around and people moving and so on. And it will cut to something else. Rich, what is the epilogue for Zhang? Because my question is, did Nine Blossoms live or not?
Well, the epilogue is him standing at her graveside. So, no.
And what do we see? What do we see your reaction? What do we see you do? Are there others there, or are you alone?
He's alone. It's obvious that it's after a large procession. Perhaps he didn't even attend the funeral that was held. The grave dirt is still fresh. And he stands by her grave. I think Sedate Rao is near some trees and observing, but it's obvious that there is a distance that Zhang is filled with shame for not trusting his friend, for bringing to pass what he tried so hard to avoid, for bringing about the death of his beloved. And then he takes the splinter in his scabbard and he jams it into the dirt. And he walks away.
Night Sky Ming, what is the epilogue we see for you?
I think you see her in the courtyard with Iron Face Lou, and there are lots of people around. It is essentially clearly some of the liquid metal delegates. It's like all of the fallout. Like she's caught in that middle of the fallout, and there's a bunch of people who have had to like find a clan again because there are 3 clans destroyed, right? You know, 2 clans, major clans destroyed, plus the Yun clan, and everything is in chaos. You have that sense of that, and she's there with Lou, and she goes, "All right, I think we're ready to leave." And you'll see her going. They get horses. They go out, and we'll see the Silverhand Bandit and her people essentially coming to join them. And they clearly are a group of people going out of the city.
I want to add one little detail onto that to actually
Okay.
call back something that Patrick set up a while back. When the light catches Iron Face Lou, for a moment we can see a ghost behind him. We can see a spirit that is in him, like the others. And it takes us a moment to realize, we haven't seen these actors very much, but we realize that it is the woman who was in that flashback when Jade Saber-Lon had the memory of his mother and the family and so on. And we see that that is the ghost that is inside him. Passing Cloud. What is your epilogue?
So I think we see Passing Cloud is currently shirtless, just wearing a pair of trousers, his hair sort of tied back, and he's stacking boulders in almost like a sort of little cairn. Eagle-eyed viewers may notice that it's one of the Stuck Cave sets. And as he sort of puts the last boulder in place, sort of dusts off his hands, bows his head a moment and walks off. And then we get one of those sort of long panning shots going through a network of tunnels with devious traps in them to the shrine that we saw where he retrieved the scroll. On the sort of altarpiece there are 2 funerary urns and a pile of what looks like sort of maybe slightly reddish greenish gravel piled up.
Nice. Lon, is there anything else any last words that have to be said about Lon and what comes from his choices?
Oh, definitely.
And what is that?
So I think it cuts back to that final moment, the sort of sound cut out, the Lon being stabbed through the chest, and he and Ming staring at each other. And it's got that final like as it fades out to black, followed by a couple of more just in the silence before we see the blackness broken. It's these like orange fire sort of candle light glows. It's a point of view shot as like eyes are blinking and things are out of focus and slowly coming sharper and clearer as the point of view shot is shaking back and forth, and it's sort of like tries to sit up and falls back. You see it look down at the chest where there's bandages wrapped across the chest, blood sort of soaking through, and look over to the side where his left arm is just a stump wrapped up in these bandages where he was stabbed through the chest. And the camera sort of pans out and you see Lon laying in a cot under blankets up to like mid waist so that you can still see his bare chested bandages and all that can be in camera shot. It's more important that the wounds be visible than that he be warm and healthy. But it zooms back some as his eyes are blinking, and you see in a chair, sort of rocking gently in the firelight across from the cot, is the devil crone. Yeah, I think that's pretty perfect.
Thank you all very much. Wow. Wow. That's it. That's 12 sessions. That is a full tragic story.
That was so good.
Let's take a minute and highlight stuff that we dug. Sherry, what did you dig? Let me go with you with the sort of the stars here.
Wow. I loved how everyone played to their passions and entanglements, and I have never seen a story get pulled and yanked. I mean, an RPG story get pulled and yanked by those things so beautifully. I mean, ugly beautiful, right?
And let me have you pause here for a second because I'll wait till David gets back so you can continue on here. No, I just want to make sure that we're all here for that. Ugh, wow.
Do you maybe want to take like a 3-minute break here?
Yeah, actually, let's take 4. We've got some time. I can get a little more coffee, and then we can come back and talk. That sounds good.
Thank you, Patrick.
We'll get Sherry back and have her continue.
Sounds good. Thank you for taking that break. That was lovely.
I sort of feel like I should go on YouTube now and find Brack Show clips for our 3-minute Brack.
Yeah.
No, sorry. E's are hard on my keyboard. It's starting to
Hey,
fail.
we were playing the Wulin. My Brack is not good. My Zorak is much better.
Oh, I can believe that.
Yeah, this is it. We now need to make a Space Ghost game and then just watch Lowell play it with himself.
So to speak.
Wait a second.
Anything else you want to point to that you dug that we were into?
I dug all of it. All of it. Damn it. All of it. I'm sorry. That is super imprecise. One, I love how this actually worked with the open table, and though this last arc has been the 4 of us, and that's been super nice and cozy, it did refreshingly well with having people here for only a little while, and they created really good scenes and important parts of what informed all of this. I think the entanglements are some kind of crazy miracle juice that just really pushes this along. Well, plus inner conflict. So, yeah. And then I love my players. So I love you guys. I love you guys so much.
David, anything you want to point to specifically that you dug?
Yeah, well, that was that was pretty good. No, that was the whole game has been excellent. I've said the entanglements I really like. They really do work nicely for sort of getting that. Well, I guess entangling people is the opportune word there, but for sort of getting that drama in there. Particularly, I said obviously the sort of genre thing of like you can't be too direct about what you're saying to people, which I like. I love those little sort of constraints, and I think it works nicely. Said just all the. I think someone mentioned in one of maybe the previous episode, but the number of how much easier this all would have been if like everyone had just taken 5 minutes to say, okay, this is what's actually going on. Maybe we should formulate an idea of dealing with this. But that's obviously not what drives the drama. So I think that's really nice. Just everyone like I really did like how everyone sort of bought into the tropes of the genre and made the characters each feel distinct, sort of distinct, but still sort of fitting in with the overall thing. Pardon. No, brilliant. Thanks everyone.
Awesome. Patrick, anything you want to point to?
Yeah, this whole extended arc of this story, and especially the idea of like breaking it into movies or books or chapters or whatever, and having like enclosed things that then move forward the next time has been super cool to explore. It's he wasn't in this month, and we got David as a trade-in instead, which has been wonderful. But Darren's Tian was so cool and like enough that I wanted to try and carry it forward into this month in fun ways. But I think what Sherry was saying about the strength of Open Table was also really evident in not just having people that came in for like short stories or intense hits, but we had people that were like trading out session to session, and it makes a neat sort of very complex full world feel to have people weaving in and out of the story like that. And then also the change in energy. The game supports bringing in a character who's just going to do little cameos and really dynamically change the energy, which is how I felt about Zhang the first couple of times he showed up. But then we had Zhang Wen as long-term stable character in this one, and he was much more emotionally driven and integral to like shifting the overall slow plots. And it was really interesting to see the two different versions of that character sort of play around. Also, I just want to highlight and love and say I appreciate everyone who is willing to put up with me like throwing Molotov cocktails into the middle of their delicately constructed backstories or emotional plots or whatever the fuck you happen to be doing, because Patrick thought it would be funny to do this right now. So I really appreciate all the times that people were willing to go with that and really work to turn it from I had a random impulse of a move I wanted to do into, oh wait, effective dramatic storylines. Yes, that's what we were doing the whole time, I swear.
I do want to point to that the whole idea of doing trilogy came from a conversation between Rich and I, and Rich was the one who kind of said to me, oh, that does sound like a good idea, which is what kind of pushed me to do this. So I appreciate that, because I trust Rich's judgments on these things.
I am happy to approve your genius.
It was
carry forward.
It was really neat for the storyline to have hard points in it, where we could say, yes, there is some sort of overall meta narrative going on, but at this point in the story, we have to stop expanding and say, this is all the ways we cut it off and move to a new place. And then we have a new place to expand in. And that was really nice.
Rich, do you want to point to anything you dug?
It was okay. No.
Okay.
It's just, I had to do that after 3 glowing, so I can't help myself. Night Sky Ming, loved seeing how creatively you used water and seeing her story kind of come to a fulmination and just really pay off at the end. The way that you, Lowell, drew back the daughters in to kind of give that emotional heft, and just out of nowhere, her appearing with very on genre, like really felt like a head snapping kind of turn that nobody saw, but really fit so well. I enjoyed as a audience member and participant seeing the growth and change of Lon over this time. This really was like secretly Lon's story, and in a lot of ways, and that was neat because he was so bad and inept, and watching him go down was very Anakin to me. Like, no, I'm joking. I really liked Lon, and seeing him make bad decisions and then buy into the worst possible of the decisions, like, and then just digging in and making it's like, what are you doing? Stop! You're frustrating me because you're doing the bad. And it was on point and really, really enjoyable that way. I super appreciated that. David, I feel like your Pen and Cloud's like expression of affection was so perfectly embodying the player principles. And I was always amazed by that. It was just so good that I, as audience, could see the affection, but it was easy for Zhang to miss it or misinterpret it or just ignore it. So that was poignant and painful, really, because Zhang could have been super happy with somebody other than Nine Blossoms because she's dead. And killing Nine Blossoms was terrible, and I loved that so much. It's a good game. It's a really good series.
I want to say that one of the things I appreciate, and it's really especially in this last month, is that this movie that we saw for this last month could have been any of your movies. Any of you could have been the lead in the story. It was strong enough that this could be Zhang's movie, or it could be Lan's movie, or it could be Passing Cloud's movie, it could be Night Sky Ming's movie, and it felt really good. Like we had an ensemble, but if you were going to say who's the protagonist, I don't know if you could pick one.
I got to a point in the session where I was like, wait, are we in Sedate Rao's story? because I could just see this movie that was poor sedate Rao and his emotional struggles, and these insane assassin chaos monkeys in the background.
It's good. So much fun stuff. Here's the thing: is you guys made it a joy to run, so that's my thing. Anybody want to say anything about the system? Anything that you like that felt maybe like a bumping points or things that maybe need further clarification or need some work in terms of how I run or things like that. I just want to ask if there are any system things. I know Agatha gave me some good feedback from her group on that. And is anybody notice anything that you want to point to? Rich, you're the PbtA interviewer. You've seen a lot of different PbtA games. Is there anything that you kind of went, I wish I'd had a better sense of this, or this needs tweaking or anything?
I felt around game 3 really locked in entanglements. Like they had been really like I explored and sucked the marrow out and gotten all that I felt like I was going to get from them as written. In the moment that we talked about rewriting it and we like did it rather than it just being a thing that's off to the side. Yeah, that's an option for you. The last half of the game became much more interesting that I realized I can evolve those entanglements because that's a hard part of like Dungeon World bonds, right? Is you make the Dungeon World bonds and they fucking suck after game 2 because yet again, you're the foolish person. I'll teach you how to do shit. It's like it never goes anywhere. And to me, the entanglements were like starting to become frustrating, and I started putting myself into like, I'm just here to support. Like I'm in Primetime Adventures. I've got the screen presence 1. I'm just going to like show up and kind of nudge people places. And that can be enjoyable for a guy who GMs a lot, but like for a personal investment really started to wane. And so I was super thankful that we took the time to do that. And I think that needs to be a part that's like significant because again, every session you start off, anybody want to change your entanglements, but that's a different conversation than like, hey, let's look at these entanglements. It feels like this doesn't apply anymore. Those are two completely like, one is I'm being nice, and hey, you guys can change stuff if you want. And the other is like, hey, we're talking about this story and let's evolve and change and put a sharper point to where you're taking this entanglement, or let's throw it out. The other piece is that for the loyal, the entanglements, like I would like to see a few different ones because I thought, oh, well, I'll just swap them out. I'm like, I'll swap them out too. They're all kind of the same. Like my master's dead, so how do I remain loyal to my master? Like I've already said I don't have any siblings in the game 1, so I can't really take that one. So I think they're good as inspirations, but there's a point where I was like, I don't know what else to do.
I definitely need to be clearer that those ones I put there are just ideas. If you don't want to look through the whole list, that you should go over to the big list. That needs to be clear. And what you said about the entanglements, like doing a discrete phase and making it clear to people that they can rewrite it and they don't have to follow. They don't have to go and pick another one. They can rewrite. That's Agatha gave me exactly the same feedback. So
sorry.
No. I mean, what I mean is I'm glad to hear that from a second voice to know that definitely needs to be. And I appreciate that.
Cool.
And I'm glad that it did help when we did get those changed, but yeah, I'd need to bring that more front and center.
And then the last piece that I would suggest is something that I found super valuable in masks, is that in masks, the labels, there's like a whole page, 2-page in the main book that says, here is what this label is used for, right? Here are ways that you embody this label. Earth, fire, metal, water, and wood. You've got 3 words. 6 to help give some scope, but more information there I think will really help a person like me who seriously, like, I'm so unfocused as a like mental being that I can make any of those things work at all times. Like at all times I could justify any of these stats being the stat I roll with, and often my decision point is, do I feel like I'm cheating if I use the +2 one? and you know that, right?
Right,
We've
right.
had that
We've
conversation
had that
all.
combo, yeah.
But I do think that one way to help kind of solve for that is having a bit that talks a little bit more in depth about how you see earth, fire, metal, water. And some of it could be super obvious, but it just might help me click to have that quick reference point, almost like having the MC moves, then helping me to have a guide when it's time for me to, you know, people are looking at me expectantly on the MC. Shit, I got to do something. Here's the menu, go! And we'll do that one, and I'll justify it later. And
so maybe some example in a discussion session like that, examples of what those elements look like in the context of different kinds of style, of different kinds of things that you're doing, different kinds of moves, and explanation in that. Okay.
Yep, that would be super helpful.
That's great.
Those are my pieces.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was just going to say that was probably the only real sort of pain point I suppose I had with it was just that getting to grips with which you know elements to use. It like I said, it wasn't a big thing, but it was just sometimes it just gives you that moment of going, oh wait, I've got to think, and just breaks that flow just for a second. But yeah, like I said, I think it's the sort of thing that with practice you get more of a feel for anyway, and yeah, with a bit more, which I mean, obviously, you know, we're playing this just out of the character keeper at the minute, with a bit more robust discussion around it. I think that would, I don't see it being a problem with the system. I just think it was something that kind of gave me just that sort of, every now and then it just gave me that kind of mental hiccup when I was trying to get into doing something sort of thing.
Yeah, because there is another decision point rather than going, okay, I need to look up my stat. There is a slight focus change there. So no, that's a really good point.
I'll say as a slight counterpoint there of like, I wouldn't want it to get too defined, just because I like the situations in this one and in Changeling where you choose a stat for an unexpected reason, like, oh, it's raining, this is definitely my water stat, or something like that. Or you're looking at like, what are the possible conditions if I had to mark this stat? Okay, I think it's this one because that's where I want my fail condition to go to, sort of things. So I think it's important to leave that element of looseness in it.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting, of course, is that because this is stolen from the Veil, and the emotional things in the Veil, we have that wheel of different emotions, and that provides the kind of backstop that Rich is talking about, and having lots of examples and ideas. I think we'll hopefully do that. Yeah. David, Patrick, any other mechanical things you want to point to?
I just wanted to sort of say, yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with what Pat said. I really like the flexibility around choosing chi. I think like I wouldn't want to lose that. I think it is just, like I said, it was just a sort of mental thing. I mean, no, I think pretty much everything else I would have on the system is praise, to be honest. Really loved a lot of the bits of it, so I can't really think of anything else that I didn't grok with, so that's cool.
We forgot to roll your face to fate.
Yeah, I realized that about halfway through, and then I was like, to be honest, at this point, it's probably not worth doing it. But yeah, it's I kept doing that with moves. I always do that with moves, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm when I don't actually, it's like I said, it's always the issue on doing it online when you don't actually have the sheet in front of you, sort of thing. It's, you know, looking at the screen for that. It's like only when I go back to go, oh yeah, I could have done that, and
I came to defend. Okay. Patrick, anything else you want to say system wise?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things.
Okay.
One, I'll reinforce what Rich said about entanglements, in that I felt like last session where we went through and I think everybody ended up rewriting at least one of their entanglements was so reinvigorating for the plot. And again, it's that difference he was saying between knowing it is an option and being like seriously interrogated at the beginning of a session, like, no, are you really happy with how they're written? Let's consider where they are and where you are. Oh, well, then let's have a discussion about it. Like that's a very different thing.
Okay.
Let's see. Particular playbook things. I don't know if Prodigy exactly works like it's supposed to.
Okay.
I found from my initial build that, like your impulse is always to give a high stat to your fighting element, which when you add a high stat into Prodigy, it's insane. You're never going to hit that 7 to 9 and have consequences from your crazy style. You're just going to be great at fighting. And even here, where I took my fighting stat back to a 0, advantage is still effectively like a +1.5, so that puts you right over +1, which is the median line in PbtA. So even then, I had a hard time rolling 7 to 9. I almost think like something that's almost the inverse of Kid with the Golden Arm, because I think Kid with the Golden Arm works beautifully. I love that fellowship style of let me drag this 7 to 9 up to a 10. It might also almost be interesting in the Prodigy to have a way to drag a 10 down to a 7 to 9 to get something really impressive or whatever. But
interesting.
Whatever the statistics of hitting that 7 to 9 are really difficult in that move, and that is the interesting point that drew me to the move.
And Kaylee, who's running on Wednesday, and she has a player who has a Prodigy, and she was expressing some of the same concerns about that. So yeah, I think that is a move that needs to be tuned and revisited. So that's good feedback.
Study move. I constantly go back and forth as to whether I am ecstatic that you have left it completely open to player control, or super frustrated that you have left me with no guidance as a lost player.
Well, and to be fair, I do say you can ask questions about the situation. I do put some examples there.
No guidance is totally unfair, but it's these are the extremes that I swing between in the moments of stress of having to make a choice on camera in front of people. I almost wonder if something like Blades in the Dark's approach of you leave the study move as it is, but maybe to like the specific agendas, like the different playbook archetypes, maybe each playbook has 2 or 3 questions that if you're just stumped for a study question, these are the types of questions that this archetype is sort of always interested in. It might be interesting to have a couple of fallbacks, because like I don't want to limit studies openness, and even putting an example list of questions in the study move would instantly limit its openness. People would just perceive it that way.
Typical study moves in the playbooks, by playbooks, a few of those examples just somewhere on there, the players to fall back, and in the text of the study move going, and if people get stumped, here's some general ideas on what kind of questions might be asked, but not like hard and fast on the move description.
Right. It definitely shouldn't be. There shouldn't be any questions, like called out questions on the basic move sheet. If every time you're looking at the study move and you see some questions listed there, you'll go for those questions. So I think the study move itself should stay free and open and happy and free range or whatever. But
Free
yeah,
range.
a little guidance
Free
on
range
your
PbtA.
a little guidance on your playbook so that you can look at a secret question on your playbook that's not on anyone else's playbook, so it looks like you're still being creative or whatever. Like it's.
That's a good idea. No. Put that beside the player agendas. That's a good thing to help differentiate the playbooks. Nice.
Something from this session that I almost regretted and almost called back on, but I was happy with how it played out, was me attacking Duskcloak Spider.
Yeah. I wish I had, in retrospect, because it was kind of a player versus player conflict, I actually wish I had gone to that.
That is exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because in the moment, it was less about the fiction of me attacking Duskcloak Spider and more about the metafiction of me saying to David, like, you are obviously building something with this storyline. I want to do this with this storyline. Is my idea interesting enough to override yours, or do you want to hold sanctity on this piece of the story? And I think adding in some talk and
Yeah.
meta call out language in the PC versus PC would be a perfect thing for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably take that example that we just had and probably put that in the discussion text.
Cool. It's exactly on the same wavelength with you there, and I sort of felt it in calling that break there of like, oh, that didn't quite go right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let me see if there's anything else.
Well, let me give Sherry a couple of words here on this, and then I'll let you go because I know Rich has a game coming up here.
Oh yeah, we don't want to hold you up too long. So my only thing is that I have a couple moves with when you work out, essentially that start out with when you work out a plan with someone. The type of drama that comes in here isn't about us talking about what we're going to do very much. The whole thing, I think, is like when you declare an approach, that or something like that, where you can do something more like we have to use the 4 directions thing, like we did, or something like that. Is just
when you declare a
hard
plan, kind of thing.
Yeah, when you declare an approach or a plan. Yes.
Okay.
So because it's just essentially we aren't in a weeds campaign. We aren't, doing all kinds of, okay, this is what we're going to pack. This is what we're going to that is not how we're running. So those things often just get short shrift because there's no actual, you can't go, well, we made a plan. No, you declared we're going to try to do this. And that would be, so you come up with a clever bit of an idea that might help us. That was expected.
That's
unexpected.
Great. Yeah. I think that's very smart. Anything else?
No, that's the only thing that I think I felt that kind of made me stumble more than I wanted to. I mean, I'm very comfortable stumbling. I do it a lot. Okay. So that I will say that I think that the perfect disguises are one of my great delights in this game. And I just want to reiterate that, wherever you can encourage your players to do that, that is the best fun.
It is.
Same. Seconded. All the thumbs up.
Everybody,
I have a couple of long-form thoughts about bonds, but in the interest of time, I'll send those to you personally instead.
We can talk about that. Thank you guys very much. I enjoyed this campaign. David, it was a joy to have you in this last arc here.
No, thank you for having me.
It was so much fun. Rich, I hope I gave you something of the Wulin that you dig, because I know you, like me, love these movies. So
much. Yes, it was wonderful.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody have a great New Year. If I don't see before then, which is David, because I see there's some of you later on. But all right. Take it easy and goodbye.